You're exhausted. Perhaps you can't pinpoint the reason, but the feeling is undeniable. There's a constant, unseen burden on your shoulders, a sense that it's your duty to maintain equilibrium for everyone, appease others, sidestep disputes, and remain perpetually kind, polite, and understanding. It was ingrained in you from a young age. Being a good person is the proper way to live. You were told that virtue prevails, that kindness is always returned in kind, that being fair, humble, and honest is all it takes for the world to notice your worth. But what if this entire belief system is a deception, a convenient fiction designed to make you manageable, predictable, and docile? How often have you bitten your tongue for the sake of harmony? How often have you made yourself smaller to prevent letting someone down? How often have you endured disrespect and exploitation only to force a smile and say, "It's fine," while choking back your own anger, tears, and pride? You did it all for a supposed virtue that ultimately got you overlooked. Pay close attention. The world doesn't hand out prizes to the perpetually pleasant. It rewards those who are strategic. You're watching this because you've experienced this firsthand. You've felt the frustration of playing the part of the good person, the nice guy, the ever-understanding friend. And now, you're beginning to see the harsh truth. The harder you chase acceptance, the less respect you receive. The more you concede, the more is taken from you. The more you offer, the less you're appreciated. This is where Machiavelli enters the picture. He wasn't the demon history often portrays him as. He was simply one of the first to speak the unfiltered truth about the dynamics of power. He grasped a concept most people are unwilling to face, that a pure morality, disconnected from the real world, is a snare. He knew that being perceived as good is not synonymous with being effective, worthy, or just. Here, we will speak without masks or filters about why you must stop striving to be the good person. And this isn't a call to become cold-hearted or cruel. It is about waking up. It asks about shaking off the naive fantasy that the world is just and virtue is its own reward. We are here to reveal the truth, however unsettling it might be. So long as your goal is to please everyone, you remain in their control, a prisoner of your own good nature. If you've had enough of being taken for granted, dismissed, and used, then perhaps it is time for a new lesson, one from Machiavelli that will finally allow you to seize control of your own destiny. Ready? Let's begin. Do you truly think the world celebrates good people? Just observe your surroundings. Who garners the most admiration? Who occupies leadership roles? Who commands respect, space, and influence? Is it the most generous, the most just, the most compassionate, or is it the most strategic, the most assertive, and the most difficult to control? The reality is unforgiving. The world operates not on kindness, but on utility. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. He didn't write The Prince as a manual for malice. He wrote it to reveal the rules of the game, and one of his most difficult lessons is this: being good isn't sufficient. In many scenarios, being good is the fastest route to being cast aside. You can dedicate your life to being kind, loyal, and understanding. You can give everything you have, helping people with no expectation of return. But the moment you cease to be useful, you will be silenced, replaced, and forgotten. And the most painful part? The other side will feel no remorse. This is because the world doesn't gauge your value by your morals. It gauges it by what you produce, the influence you wield, and the impact you have. Haven't you seen how the nice guys are always on the defensive, always justifying themselves, explaining, trying to prove their worth? In the meantime, those who establish boundaries, who say no, who state their positions clearly, they are the ones who are respected. They are given a platform. They occupy space. And the reason? Because unconditional kindness is perceived as weakness. Because those who never pose a challenge pose no threat, and those who pose no threat are not taken seriously. They are viewed as a resource, not a person, a means to an end, not an individual. You can exhaust yourself trying to please, but if you don't project power or consequence, nobody will think twice about using you. It's a harsh truth, I realize, but it is the truth. Machiavelli wrote that if a leader must choose, he should seek to be feared rather than loved. What was his meaning? That genuine respect comes from the perception that you are capable of action, that you cannot be pushed around without a response, that you are not an expendable pawn in another person's game. And this is true for you as well. If you persist in living to be agreeable, you will persist in being seen as disposable. Not because you are a bad person, but because the world doesn't reward those who make themselves invisible. It's time to figure out the source of this compulsive need for constant approval. Because beneath your kindness lies something more profound, something that has likely been undermining you for years. We will delve into that right now. In the next section, we'll examine the psychological foundation of people-pleasers and find out why being nice is so often just fear in disguise. If you find value in this message, please click the subscribe button to support the channel. Thank you. You did not come into this world desperate to please. This behavior was taught to you. Worse, it was conditioned into you. From your earliest days, you learned that acceptance had a cost, sacrificing pieces of who you are. Manufactured smiles, repressed desires, unspoken opinions, all were traded for approval. From, "Don't act like that, it's not nice," to, "Be polite," to, "You're so well behaved." Slowly but surely, you contorted yourself to meet the expectations of others. But the thing no one ever mentioned is that perpetual pleasing is an emotional snare. It's a psychological cell built with compliments laced with poison and punishments presented as discipline. You were taught that pleasing others would earn you love, while showing anger, setting limits, or acting in your own interest would lead to rejection. So you did what any mind does to survive. You conformed. The issue is that this conformity morphed into subservience. Now, you can't say no without being racked with guilt. You feel accountable for the happiness of others, even when it's tearing you apart. You feel frustration but suppress it. You feel disappointment but forgive far too easily. You wear yourself out preserving an image that others demand of you. Not because it's who you are, but because you learned it was the key to feeling secure. But allow me to offer a dose of reality. This isn't kindness, it is fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being unloved, fear of being labeled a bad person, fear of being your true self, with your own needs, anger, boundaries, and voice. This fear has transformed you into your own saboteur, someone who hides behind behaviors that are socially acceptable but emotionally devastating. And the greatest tragedy? You're not even aware you're doing it. You label it empathy, but it is a fear of conflict. You call it kindness, but it is a fear of being inadequate. Your kindness is really a mask, a subconscious tactic to sidestep the pain of rejection. But wearing this mask comes at a steep price. It smothers your authenticity, your agency, and your dignity. And if you refuse to remove this mask, it will fuse to your very being, becoming your identity. Then one day, you'll stare into the mirror and no longer recognize the person looking back. But there is a path back to yourself. To discover it, we must learn from the man who understood the power of strategy, perception, and image better than anyone, Machiavelli. Next, we'll get straight to it. What the prince can show us about breaking free from the hostage situation of needing to appear good and how to start being respected for who we truly are. If you are trying to live as a good person with the hope that others will admire your ethics, integrity, and morality, stop immediately. Machiavelli gave a warning over 5 centuries ago. This path is admirable but perilous. In the real world, the victors are not the good, they are the effective. And effectiveness in the game of life demands strategy. It demands the understanding that people are not motivated by your goodness. They are motivated by self-interest, fear, and the pursuit of power. In The Prince, Machiavelli states, "Men in general judge more by the eyes than by the hands. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few touch what you are." This quote is a gut punch. It shatters the fantasy that being authentic, pure, and true is enough to command respect. The reality is severe. People don't see your intentions. They respond to your appearance, your projection, your impact. You could be the most just person alive, but if you project weakness, you will be treated as if you are weak. You could have the most charitable heart, but if you fail to inspire respect, you will be disregarded. And for this reason, the prince, and in this case the prince is you, anyone who wants to command their own life cannot afford to be naive. You must appear virtuous when it serves you and be strategic when it is required. Machiavelli advises that the prince must know how to use the nature of the beast. He must be a fox to recognize the traps and a lion to frighten the wolves. This is a brutally honest metaphor. The fox is astute. It detects hidden threats and moves with stealth. The lion, conversely, projects power, strength, and presence. Machiavelli isn't saying to be one or the other. He is saying to be both. Be perceptive enough to know when you are being manipulated and strong enough to make others reconsider trying. Do you wish to be respected? Then you must understand that the virtue Machiavelli advocates for is not the one taught by moralists. It is virtue, a combination of courage, intelligence, audacity, and self-mastery. It means acting with a cool head when you must. It means knowing that at times appearing cruel is the only way to preserve order. Not from a place of malice, but from a place of wisdom. Here is another of his quotes. "A man who wants to make a profession of good in all regards must come to ruin among so many who are not good." And you have felt this. You have been that man. You have tried to be good in all situations. And what was your reward? Disrespect, silence, injustice. People do not play by the rules. If you keep acting as if they do, you will keep losing. This doesn't mean you must forsake your values. It means you must stop letting them be your chains. It means you must begin to operate with power, to consider how your goodness is perceived and exploited by those around you. Machiavelli wasn't a cynic. He was a realist. He observed humanity without romantic illusions, without a filter. He wrote The Prince as a survival guide for a world where appearance is power and weakness, disguised as virtue, is a death sentence. But now you may be asking, is there a way to find a balance? How can I stop being naive without becoming cold or malevolent? In the next part, we will dismantle the false choice that you must be either nice or cruel. A middle ground exists, and it starts with having the courage to stop deceiving yourself. There is a devastating misconception that ruins countless lives, the belief that to be good, you must be compliant. That being a good person requires accepting everything quietly, forgiving without question, and swallowing your frustrations to keep the peace. This is not kindness. This is naivety. It is cowardice masquerading as virtue. And unless you grasp this distinction, you will remain the world's emotional doormat. True kindness does not demand self-annihilation. It demands awareness, clarity, and choice. Being good is not about being a cheerful pushover who is always accommodating, always smiling, and always sacrificing for people who would never do the same for you. That is self-neglect. It is emotional codependency presented as morality. Naivety is believing that people will treat you with the same heart you possess. Naivety is thinking the world is just, and that if you act with integrity, others will notice. Naivety waits for gratitude, reciprocity, and consideration, and it is constantly let down. It is perpetually disappointed because it projects onto others a nobility that simply isn't there. True kindness is different. It is resolute. It knows how to say no. It knows when to walk away. It understands that not everyone is worthy of your best, and giving your best to those who offer nothing in return is not generosity. It's a waste. You can be a just, compassionate, and honorable person and still be formidable. Be respected. Be someone who commands a presence, who is clear about what they will and will not tolerate. Machiavelli, for all his perceived cruelty, did not despise virtue. He despised naivety. He understood that in a world teeming with predators, kindness without strength is just an easy meal in the middle of the jungle. The question you must ask yourself is this: is your kindness a shield or an open invitation for attack? Is it empowering you or breaking you down? Because if your definition of good involves enduring injustices, accepting scraps, and feeling guilty for your own anger, then you are not being good. You are being controlled. And there is a remedy for this. There is a point of equilibrium where you don't have to surrender your essence, but you also don't have to bow down to anyone. A state where you can act with courage, clarity, and emotional intelligence. Next, we will explore this path. We will discuss how to stop being nice without becoming a villain and finally reclaim your life without betraying yourself. If you are ready to reclaim your self-respect, the change starts here. Many people, upon awakening to their own submissiveness, make a critical error. They come to believe they must become cold, callous, and almost cruel to escape being nice. This is the rebound effect. After years of being taken advantage of, you assume the only solution is to become the polar opposite, hardened, indifferent, and calculating. But this is just another deception. Because in abandoning your true nature, you are not finding strength. You are shielding yourself with denial. That isn't freedom. It is trauma masquerading as power. Real liberation is achieved when you learn to be whole. When you stop acting for others' approval and start acting for yourself. This is not about being good versus bad. It is about being authentic. It is about looking in the mirror and knowing that you can be kind, but you will no longer be passive. You can be compassionate, but you will no longer be a pushover. You can offer a helping hand, but you will no longer beg for acknowledgement. So, how do you stop being nice without losing yourself? First, accept that your voice is important. You were trained to believe that complaining, setting limits, or voicing disagreement is selfish. That is a lie. Selfishness is expecting you to remain silent while others talk over you. To speak your mind, to take a stance, to say, "I will not accept this," is not selfishness. It is dignity. It is self-respect. Second, practice the art of saying no. Saying no is one of the most powerful acts of liberation. It does not need to be aggressive or shouted. A calm, firm, and non-negotiable no carries more weight than 1,000 excuses. It communicates something essential. You have boundaries, and people with boundaries are respected. People without them are exploited. Third, pay attention to who resents your change. These individuals are your litmus test. If you start asserting yourself and someone comments that you're different, strange, or selfish, it is because your compliance benefited them. Your transformation shatters the unspoken contract that allowed them to use you. This will make them uncomfortable. Do not be swayed. This is a sign you are on the right path. Fourth, give up the need to be understood by everyone. Not everyone will comprehend your evolution, and that is perfectly fine. You owe no allegiance to the version of you that existed in their minds. Your loyalty belongs to your own truth, your peace of mind, and your emotional well-being. Fifth, trade the desire for acceptance for a commitment to authenticity. When you live authentically, you might alienate some people, but you will earn the respect of those who truly count. Even more importantly, you will begin to respect yourself. And that is a form of respect that no one can ever take from you. Machiavelli did not write to teach you to be cruel. He wrote to teach you to stop being naive. And the greatest naivety of all is to believe that being nice is enough to earn respect in this world. It is not. It requires courage to shed the role of the people-pleaser. It requires strength to be who you are without asking for anyone's permission. But this process is not complete. Now comes the critical juncture, the decision to either continue undermining yourself or to finally take command of your life. In this final section, we'll close with a direct, blunt, and essential challenge for you to see that your fixation on being good might be costing you everything, and that the time to choose has arrived. Do you want to be liked, or do you want to be free? It is time for some brutal honesty with yourself. How much longer will you continue this charade of being the nice guy? How much longer will you drain your energy, sacrifice your voice, and diminish your dignity just to uphold an image that isn't even yours, an image that others demand of you? Do you truly believe this is a virtue? That this is nobility? This is a prison. A psychological prison, an emotional one. A cell furnished with hollow compliments where you are praised for being harmless, for being predictable, for posing no threat. But let me tell you something no one else has had the nerve to say. No one is coming to set you free. No one will arrive to thank you for your sacrifices, grant you the respect you are owed, and tell you that you can finally rest. That will not happen. Because as long as you make yourself available for use, someone will always be there to use you. This is not about malice. It is about reality. And reality does not care about your good intentions. You can go on being that ideal of a good person that society has sold you. Calm, patient, understanding, always there for everyone, always saying yes. But be prepared for a life filled with frustration, bitterness, and invisibility. Or you can awaken. You can make the decision right here and now that your kindness will no longer be a leash around your neck. You will act with purpose, with presence, and with resolve. You will be the one who chooses when to be generous and to whom. You will no longer give what is not returned. You will no longer live your life chasing the approval of others like a stray begging for a pat on the head. The truth is straightforward. The world respects those who respect themselves, and you will not be free until you stop asking for permission to simply exist. So, let me ask you, when was the last time you said no without feeling guilty? When was the last time you prioritized your own needs? When was the last time you did something purely for yourself without worrying about how it would look to others? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear about the moment you realized that being nice was destroying you. This is a conversation that must continue because countless people are trapped in the same prison, and your story might be the one that inspires someone else to break free. If this video has made you reconsider the way you live, act, and see yourself, then you must watch the next one. Trust me, it is crucial. This journey is only just getting started.